So if you've seen my last video, you know that I'm graduating this upcoming May, and I wanted to reflect back and talk about 5 things I did during college that are setting me up for success now that I'm graduating. Because your actions in college are directly correlated with how successful you will be after, because this is the time where you really find yourself as a person and find what hobbies you're interested in and what things you want to spend your time doing, right? So, the first thing I did, which set me on the right path, was start taking my finances seriously at an early age. I grew up seeing my family be really poor, and I saw them start generating wealth, but even now, they don't have the best financial habits. So, since I want to keep my wealth within my family, I really wanted to be really on top of my game. And the way I did this was to start budgeting using Google Sheets. I have my own spreadsheet that I use. I can leave a link to that below. And then I also opened up my Roth IRA from when I was 18, and I started contributing to that ever since I was young. And letting this go over time, I would just see better returns. And knowing how I spend my dollars on a month-to-month basis allows me to budget better every month going forward. And I know what did I overspend on, what did I underspend on, and what's my income, how much am I spending? Am I spending more than I'm making? So it just allows me to really have a good idea of how my finances are looking overall. The second thing I can talk about is building a side hustle or working part time. Now, I did both of these, right? For my side hustle, for those don't know, I sold things on Amazon, and my sister put me on this when I was 18. And from there, my mom and I would go to Ross, Burlington, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and just find items that we can resell on Amazon for a profit. And I did this starting senior year in high school and did it through college. It helped me sustain myself. It helped me take care of some bills, utilities, stuff like that. And working part time. This year, I actually worked part time. I was a part time volleyball coach and part time soccer coach. And not only did these things help me sustain myself, but I was able to take in all the extra cash that I was making and invest it, right? And investing this is setting myself up for a better spot in the future. Not only that, by doing these, it taught me, what it takes to run a business. I have to keep track of my expenses, see how much I'm going to pay myself, how much are my profit margins, how do I advertise my products. All of these things are skills that I had to develop throughout this journey. And during my part-time job, I got to make connections, right? Coaching at a private school, I got to meet really cool other coaches, instructors, parents even. And this is all real world experience that is gonna help me the further I go in life, even in my job right after college. Third one, and probably one of the more important ones, is I chose friends who are smart. They're not stupid with their money. They're not just here to go out every weekend and just binge on life and just super hyper fixated on spending more and just having fun in the moment, right? I have friends who, don't get me wrong, we know how to have fun, but it doesn't always have to cost money. We love going to the park. We love jumping in Barton. We love swimming. We love doing outdoor activities, right? Often these activities don't cost money. Obviously, I'm not saying never spend money with your friends and have fun, but it's good to surround yourself with people who are like-minded and who are thinking for the greater good in the future, who want to build their wealth, who want to build themselves as a person. You want to be around those who are ambitious, positive, and support your dreams, right? You don't want to be around people who are guiding you in the wrong direction because at the end of the day, we're a summary of those people around us, right? And having these friends, they allowed me to really enjoy my college years, but also be ambitious and have dreams. And if I tell them my dreams, they're not gonna be like, "Pff, that's not gonna work." They're there and like they indulge with me. They're like, "Oh yeah, when you do this and you're super successful, and now I'm super successful, we can go travel the world together, right?" And I think this is super important because if you choose good friends in college, more likely than not, you'll end up in a good place after, right? And it's never too late to change your friend circle. Even in high school, I had this one really close friend, and I was aware of this even back then, who wasn't in the best path, but he was a friend of mine for years, and I felt bad cutting him off and getting him out of my life. But I knew ultimately it was the better decision for me because he kept getting me into things that weren't helping me develop. He would have me play video games with him and go do Ding Dong Ditch and other kid stuff at that time. But looking back on it now, we're both on separate paths, but we're both moving up in the world, which is super important. Next thing up is to learn outside the classroom, right? We know going to class is important, taking notes and being studious, all that is really good. But where a lot of people mess up is because they feel so burnt out from learning throughout the day with their classes, they forget to teach themselves their interests, right? For me, luckily, had an interest in finance and self-help and becoming a better person. So I was able to read books like Atomic Habits, Think and Grow Rich, 12 Rules for Life, and then even looking at my YouTube, right? When I had friends who were watching like KSI, watching FaZe Clan, David Dobrik, I have always had like Graham Stephan, Andre Jick, Caleb Hammer. Like these are all people who constantly talk about financials, they talk about what's going on in the economy, and even if their information is not 100% accurate, I can learn these terms. I can start picking up the lingo of the finance world. And this is how I was able to get myself into it and get really invested and dig deeper roots into these topics because this is something that I truly have a passion to learn and is super interesting to me as I really believe that investing is the way to grow substantial wealth for your family over time, right? So you don't have to be learning about finances. The important thing is to be a lifelong learner. There is always something that you can be passionate about and learn about. It is, as even as children, we love to learn. We always ask questions. So why change that now? Don't let being outside of class stop you from being naturally curious about the world around you. All right. Next up, and this is again a really super important one, is staying consistent, right? I mentioned these things like starting investing from being young, right? When I was 18, I started investing from learning outside the classroom, to having good friends, building a side hustle. All of these things mean nothing if I do it for a week and let it drop, right? But the reason they're paying off now, 4 years down the road, is because I was consistent with it, right? Even working out, it doesn't pay off. It does in a month or 3 months, but you don't really see the fruit of your labor until years down the road, right? If you see anyone who's really jacked and they're natural, more likely than not, they've been working out for like 5 plus years. And this goes the same for fitness, wealth, friendships, anything. You have to be consistent with this stuff, even though it might not be super fun, even though you might be like, oh, it's more fun to play video games and to go out and to do whatever the heck I want to do. When you're consistent with the boring stuff is when you make the most progress. And consistency is what gets you there when motivation disappears, right? So there's many things you could be consistent with. It doesn't have to be the ones I specifically listed, like investing weekly and working out. It could be something like planning your week out every single week, having a set of goals you want to achieve, or having a habit tracker, right? It's about finding the system that works for you that allows you to get to your goals, right? And the thing we don't realize is that sometimes you feel really motivated. Sometimes you get a good pep talk from a teacher or a classmate or your parents, and you're like, oh, I'm pumped, I'm excited, I'm ready to go. But that feeling does not stay with you, right? And having the discipline to show up when you don't want to is what builds that consistency. And when you're constantly there and you're showing up for who you want to be, at the end, you're going to end up where you want to be. It's just part of a longer journey that doesn't make sense in the moment. But when you're consistent and you look back on things, it's all going to make sense at the end. Because now, when I'm looking back on my habits, the actions I took when I was 18 and my friends were going out having fun partying, now they're starting to pay off. Even in like this economic pullback, I'm not worried because I've been building my investing base ever since then. Like I know over time I will be fine. I have friends who we started at the same place, but due to my habits, we're in two totally different places right now. I'm graduating um, debt free versus on the other hand, I have friends who are like maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, right? And all this was difference in habits. Part of it could be you can attribute to scholarships, but another part of it is their consumption choices, what they did during college versus what I didn't, and vice versa, right? So as I mentioned, looking back, your college years are very important, and these are 5 things that really helped to get me ahead of the crowd, to help set me up for success and put me in a good path where I truly think I'll be able to achieve extraordinary things in my career, in my physical life, in my fitness life, or I'll be able to achieve massive goals in the future as long as I stay consistent with my daily actions, right? And Especially if you're a freshman watching this, be excited, be hungry, and don't be afraid to keep chasing your goals. Don't let anyone stop you. As I've been telling a bunch of people recently, people are always going to have something to say about you. So if you know this, you might as well go live the life that you're going to enjoy, right? And to wrap this all up, again, none of this is about being perfect. It's about being intentional and wanting to become a better person than who you were yesterday. So, with that, thank you guys for watching and have a great rest of your week. Take care.